All right, let's go to our next segment of the podcast, and it is the Ask the Dads portion of the podcast. And today, Mario E, I have another question that I want you to answer and for us to discuss. And
Okay.
today's point that we're going to be talking about is who is the greatest sports dad of all time. Now, I'm thinking about this from a certain point of view. I'm
Okay.
looking at it as a father that has some sports athletes that um, may have accomplished a lot of great goals in whatever sport you can think of. Who is the greatest sports dad you think?
So eh, clarify that because you just said something that was making me think, right? So are how I'm looking at it is not necessarily the best dad in sports. I'm thinking about it in terms of who kind of did the best job of raising their kids who were athletes. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I got a couple people that come to mind when I think about that, right? I'll get those people out of the way and I'll give you who I think is the number one person.
Okay.
One of the first people to come to mind is the iconic photo of Michael Jordan crying with the trophy after he won his first trophy, which, by the way, he kept losing in the playoffs and he finally overcame and won in the playoffs, going back to
Failures.
falling down 7,
So
getting
many.
up 8,
So many
right?
failures.
Yeah. So I think about that. And you hear Michael Jordan and when he talks about how fond he was of his dad and how his dad helped shape, you know, his mentality with sports and all those things. I think about James. I think his name was James,
Okay.
Jordan. I think about Tiger Woods' dad, who basically
Yes.
like created a machine.
He
who,
created a monster.
yeah, that in the first part of Tiger's career, I mean, he was whooping up on everybody, right? You know, so I think about him. I think about Shaquille O'Neal, who Shaq fondly talks about his dad, and if it even if you're not a huge sports fan, guys,
Mhm.
or any of our listeners, but to me, one of the best programs on TV is Inside the NBA with Shaq and Kenny and Ernie and Charles.
Mhm.
And Shaq is always he'll frequently go back and talk about things his dad taught him and told him about and instilled in him. And Shaq is always talking positively about his dad, right?
Mhm.
So I think about those folks as those three dads, right? And I'm sure there's plenty of dads who we're not even going to name or not even thinking about because they may have been so in the background, right?
Yeah.
Um, Going to another sport, I think about Archie Manning. Archie
Okay.
Manning was a pretty good football player.
Mhm.
I never saw him play. I'm not that old, whatever, but I just think about his sons. He had one son that I think their oldest son played football, but he got hurt or something
Cooper
like that.
Cooper Manning.
Cooper,
He was a pretty good player, but
yeah,
he didn't make it to the NFL.
he
I
didn't
think
make
he
it to the
got hurt.
league. Yeah, he got hurt, but then he's got arguably the one of the best quarterbacks ever, and as his son Peyton Manning, then one of the greatest winners ever, I'd say, arguably, in Eli Manning.
Mhm.
So what he had to instill in those kids and to get them to continue to perform at a high level like he did, that was great. Uh, I got to shout out my favorite basketball player's dad, Dale Curry,
Okay.
because he has two sons in the NBA. I think the daughter she played at Elon, she played volleyball or something
Okay.
or whatever. But yeah, all those different things, right? But my number one, I say all that to say this. My number one, I must say, is Richard Williams.
Oh man.
Richard Williams is number one to me because
Oh man.
I gotta say he's number one because when I look at Venus and Serena and what they had to go through, you know, being from Compton, California, and you got to take them to all these country clubs to get them to play. They don't look like everybody else. Okay.
Tearing the walls down.
Yes. And like what he had to instill in them to be strong mentally, to be able to go out there and perform at a high level every single time, and to basically raise two daughters who were at one point in time, like they both were at one point in time number one in the world. You know, Serena, you know, I think everybody recognizes Serena is probably one of the greatest athletes, and I'm not even attaching female
period
to that. One of the greatest athletes ever, and especially, you know, all the accomplishments that she's had. I have to say what he did with them, because he was their coach as well. He wasn't just the dad, like, I'm going to take you to the coach and the coach is going to train you. No, he was the coach.
Yeah.
And he, you know, instill all those things in them to persevere and to, you know, don't take no for an answer, and all these setbacks you may have, you know. I mean, he was, you know, I don't know his life personally or whatever. I'm just looking at it from the outside looking in, that what he did with his two daughters was amazing.
Yes, it really was. I feel like, and I think I'd like to bring up, I think it was a video. I'm pretty sure, I think we shared it with each other. It was a video where I think it was Venus getting interviewed. And I think they were asking her, like, how do you think you're going to stack up against the competition this weekend or whatever? And she was like, I'm going to win. And then the lady was kind of like maybe saying, well, you know, you have to go against such and such, or you're only 16 years old, or whatever the age she was at. And Richard stepped in and said, look, she told you what she told you. She said that she was going to win. And you need to let it be like that. Stop trying to mess up her confidence. And I was like, man, this guy is right on point. Because I feel the same way. When you have your kids and you know your kids are going to be going up against a lot of competition, and there's a mental aspect there, you got to keep them level-headed and focused, and their confidence has to be through the roof to compete at the level that they were competing at. So yes, I had Richard Williams down as one of mine. I had Archie Manning down. I mean, Archie Manning, you got to think about it. I think both of his boys were first pick in the draft.
Yes.
Both of them.
Eli and Peyton. Yes.
Yeah, they were both number one picks in the draft. So I had to definitely put him on the list. I'm going to go ahead and go with my honorable mention is Lavar Ball. Now, love him or hate him. Dude, the man did a great job with raising his boys. Like I said, I don't know him personally, but from what I can see, you know, from TV and media side of things, these three boys, if I'm not mistaken, were all committed to UCLA.
Yeah.
They all were committed. They all didn't end up going there, but they all were committed. And to have three sons that's committed to a major Division I college is a huge deal.
Yeah, a historically great program.
Yes. And a lot of people can argue that it is the best program. A lot of legends came through there, a lot of great coaches too. Now, so then you take Lavar Ball, and then you have Lonzo that goes in the first round, early first round. And then LiAngelo didn't get drafted, but he did get signed to a team.
Yeah.
Which
I think he went to the Pistons. He played like a week or so or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. So that's still a great accomplishment. And then you have the last boy, LaMelo Ball, that goes in the first round.
He looks legit right now.
And he does.
He looks like the real deal.
He looks really good right now. So I know a lot of people are probably saying, well, you got LaVar Ball, you named all these other names. Who in the world can be the sports dad GOAT?
Let me ask you this, since
Go
we're
ahead.
talking about LaVar Ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just gonna talk about it. LaVar Ball gets a lot of bad press. He gets a lot of a bad rap.
Yeah.
And I know I can kind of look at it and understand why. But how about just sharing your thoughts or your opinion on how you view how he's raised his kids and how you think it's worked.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you one thing. These coaches are not going to offer these kids scholarships if they see some character issues or anything like that. So, and they're not going to offer you based off of hype. So these boys had to be able to play from a talented aspect, but as well, when they go meet these coaches, they have to have their thing. They have to have things under control and ready to go when they're talking to these coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So these coaches are going to do a lot of background check as well. They're going to ask the high schools, how does he act in class? How does he do this? Before they give money to get these players, they got to do every check that they can possibly. So, I know that LiAngelo might have gotten in some trouble or whatever, but, kids get into things, but
Yeah.
from an overall aspect, these kids hadn't really been getting in trouble about anything. And I think that's something that we have to really take from LaVar. LaVar is a mouthpiece now. Let's get that clear too. He talked his son's way to be picked number 2 overall, I think, Lonzo.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he didn't have LaVar as a mouthpiece, I'm not sure he would have got drafted that high.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a lot of different things that comes into play. He said his son was going to play for the Lakers, and his son played for the Lakers. Like, and I do understand too, with having some experience in recruiting, that you do have to, your kids have to have somewhat of a mouthpiece. And if your mouthpiece is sending emails or messaging coaches or talking to them in person, they got to have a mouthpiece. Yes, they have to be able to talk for themselves, but you have to have somebody to vouch for you or to speak for you, even if it's your head coach, your high school coach. Somebody has to speak up for you. And LaVar did a lot of that speaking up for his kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like that he supported them in that way too.
Yeah. One of the things that I always thought was interesting when LaVar, when he first came up to the national scene, and if you remember, he came on the scene because he said that Lonzo was better than Steph Curry at that point in time when Lonzo was only like a freshman in college.
Yes, he did.
And I just remember, like, when he started going on the networks and whatever, and people were asking him, do you think this is going to hurt your kids? Do you think this is going to be a distraction? Do you think somebody is not going to want to draft your kids because of you? And do you think you're actually hurting them? And I remember he said something, and I don't remember exactly the word for word what he said, but what I took away from it was, like, they've been hearing him their whole lives. So they're used to him. He knows how to motivate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else, you all might not get it, how that relationship is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's that was something that stuck out to me with that, that he knows how to motivate his kids. He knows what to say to them. And that's a father that's in tune with kids. They have that relationship that he knows how to get the best out of them and how to, get them to do their best.
And I mean, if they don't like their dad or whatever, they don't have to be around them now. And I haven't seen where they have just totally cut ties with their dad or whatever. But
right,
kids, they know their parents. He's been around them their whole life, so they know how to operate around them.
Yeah,
he's just a talker, man. Like, it is what it is. But I can't say anything bad about the boys or their play or anything like that. I think it's a great accomplishment for the family. Now, we've named all of those dads. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, who in the world could be your top pick for Sports Dad GOAT? And to me, I got to go with Terrell Edmunds.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I got to go with Terrell Edmunds. Hometown guy.
Yeah.
He went to the high school we went to, and he ended up playing at Maryland. He got drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and
Yep.
he was a Pro Bowler. And yeah, so he has 3 boys in the NFL. Trey Edmonds is in the NFL. Terrell Edmunds and Tremaine Edmonds. Now, I think Trey was undrafted. He went in as an undrafted free agent. And then the other 2 boys, Terrell and Tremaine, those boys were drafted in the first round in the
Yep.
same draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess I had to pick him as the sports dad GOAT because, I know the family and everything, and they're just good people. His wife, very good people. They always been nice, and they always look like they always show their kids in a good light with the community. They're the kids when you meet them. Well, they're not kids anymore, but the men when you meet them, man, they're incredible guys. I'm just proud of all of them, honestly. And yeah, that's my GOAT, man.
Yeah.
He's up there with Lavar Ball. It's just, Lavar talks and, Lavar gets the media going. But
yeah,
Terrell Edmunds did the same thing.
Yeah.
You
to
can't
put 3 sons in the NFL it's remarkable.
Yeah.
It is remarkable to be able to do that.
I don't think, and has been getting some publicity or whatever, but I don't think it gets the publicity that, maybe it should have gotten. Right. But yeah, but it's an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my pick.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Well, that's all for the podcast today. We want to know who you think the sports dad GOAT is. And anything else, Mario, before we sign out?
No, just whatever comments you guys, just like, subscribe, share. Let us know.
All right. Mario, E, and Kid signing out.
Take care.